Daniela, what it is like to be in London?
What, sorry? I didn't
What
hear
it is
that.
like to be in London? What it is like to be in London?
It is very exciting, very different from what I was used to. It's a very international city with lots of people, lots of new people that I'm meeting too from all over the world. I am very excited.
So tell me, when did you arrive exactly?
I arrived the 15th of August, so around 3 weeks ago.
Hmm? And so basically, so tell me, I have not spoken to you this like 6 months. So what have you done this like 6 months? So you are working, you resign, what have you done this like 6 months? Because I've not
So
spoken to you so much.
okay, so these last 6 months, I was working at the Central Bank of Peru, back in
Mhm.
Peru. I worked until a week before I left. I also took the CFA level 1 to be better prepared for my master's in finance, to also have that on the CV. And aside from work, from academics, I was also very active in several organizations in Peru, and I started to connect with some of my LBS classmates through LinkedIn, through WhatsApp, to start getting to know them.
Okay. And so where do you live now? In which part of London do you live now?
Now I'm living in St. John's Wood. It's very close to London Business School, so it's a very good location.
Okay, it's a very good location. And was it your first time in London or not? Was it your first time?
Uh, yeah, it's my first time in London. Before I was in Europe, but I've never been here to London before. It's as I mentioned, it's a very big city, a very beautiful city.
Okay. So tell me, so you had class? When did you start your class? Like 2 weeks ago? When did you start exactly?
Yeah, we started class around 2 weeks ago. Right
Mhm.
now, we have started with our skill seminars. We are receiving some seminars and lectures regarding time management, leadership,
Mhm.
how to better uh, job searching strategies, and so on. And I believe that next week we will start with our foundations of finance courses. So yeah, I've been also starting classes, starting these seminars, and getting to know my classmates.
Okay. So tell me, how is the LBS MFA structured? How does it work between core courses, electives, internship, etc.? How does it work?
Okay, so basically the main program is a 3-term program, and there's an optional 4th term. In these 3 terms, right now we are in a sort of term 0, where we are
Mhm.
receiving these skills seminars, these skills workshops that are before starting our actual 1st term. And during our 1st term, we'll have these foundations courses that are going to be around data analytics, financial statements analysis, investments fundamentals, accounting fundamentals, and so on. Then we get to core courses in the second term, that are around corporate finance, asset management, world economics, and so on, and also some electives. The electives, we get to obviously choose the ones that we want, that are better suited to the career path that we want. And in the 3rd term, we also have more electives to choose from. So that's basically the 3 terms that are the ones of the 1 year program. If we want, we can take an additional 4th term, where we can either take more electives or choose to go on an exchange, or maybe do another internship or something like that. Either way, we end the 3rd term classes in June, which is when most of the summer internships start. So we are ready to start with the full-time summer internships in June. And that is basically the structure of the program, I think, at a general glance.
Okay. So tell me, uh, and so knowing you already know all that, huh? The P1, the first phase, the second phase. That's something that you know already pretty well. You know already about finance, about all that. So someone who is like you, who is a very good student, who has already worked for the Bank of Peru. What do you expect to learn? Do you expect to learn academically, or what you expect to learn is more like the culture, the approach of problems, the way Europeans deal with financial issues? What do you expect to learn?
I
Uh,
I think a bit of both. In terms of academics, I'm obviously going to, I already know many of the core courses, just like you mentioned, that I've taken before. But I do know there are some very interesting electives by very good professors that I am also very eager to learn. But overall, I think what's most enriching about this experience, just like you mentioned, is first of all, getting to meet all of these different people from all over the world, learning about many different approaches to see things. And also, just like you mentioned, maybe the culture, how are things done in London, how is the financial industry here, and the perspectives of all of my classmates too. Like everyone has a very unique story. I've met people from many different parts of the world, and I think that interaction with all of these different people is a very important highlight of LBS, right? The diversity of the cohort.
Okay, so that's so basically you expect to learn both academically and also from that. When are I think that the interviews for the summer internships are pretty close. It's this month or next month? When is it exactly?
I believe around the next couple of months. Right now,
Yeah.
just like you mentioned, all of the applications are already opening. So I've already been applying, doing the numerical tests, cover letter, CV, all of that. And in the next maybe 2 months, I expect to receive the feedback for interviews. But proper interviews haven't started already, at least not face-to-face, only video interviews. Some companies already sending video interviews, higher views, and those types of things.
So it's going to come up, and you know that you perfectly know that after LBS you have a 2-year visa.
Yes, the graduate scheme.
Yeah. So have you planned to stay there, or you want to go back to Peru? What is your plan?
No, my plan is to stay here, is hopefully secure a summer internship and then convert it into a full-time job and take advantage of the 2-year visa to work here.
To work here and maybe to stay maybe longer than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And in which field do you want to work? You want to be IB, asset management, private equity? What is your objective?
I'm mostly interested in asset management, particularly capital markets, investments. I think that's my main focus. However, in my class, there are people who are interested in all sorts of industries, right? IB, private equity, venture capital, corporate.
Okay, even fintech, maybe even. I've seen that, for instance, ESSEC as a department for fintech. So now they have corporate finance, financial market, and even fintech. So it seems it's a big thing. So maybe I ask you questions, but you didn't have time to introduce yourself because I thought that it was very interesting that we know more about you, about the current situation. Before, can you maybe introduce yourself in 5 minutes so that people understand who you are, what you have achieved, what you have done?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I am Daniela. I am originally from Peru. I studied economics as my undergraduate back in Peru at Universidad del Pacifico. And during this time, I took several finance electives. I had internships at the Central Bank of Peru, also at a Peruvian insurance company called Pacifico Seguros. And upon finishing, I started working full-time at the Central Bank of Peru in investment management and relationship management role. And during this time, I also decided to go into a international master's in finance to be able to start an international career. And with the help of Dr. Hubert, I applied to HEC, to ESSEC, and to LBS. I got accepted in those 3, and I finally decided for LBS. Aside from academics, from work, I also participate in several organizations back in Peru regarding gender equality, education, and I've also, like I mentioned, I have taken the CFA level 1. And now I am very excited to start this new journey in London, my master's, and hopefully find a job here. So I think that's about me.
Okay. And by the way, so that's something interesting because you know that no, there are no French today. But some people will be surprised that having been accepted to HEC with a scholarship, because you have received a scholarship at HEC and LBS, you have chosen LBS. Is it that you believe that the perception of France is not the country where to study finance? What was your HEC is ranked #1, so usually people consider the best ranked school over whatever. So why LBS over HEC, Daniela?
So that was actually a very, I think, practical decision. Indeed, HEC did give me a scholarship. However, the scholarship that LBS gave me was higher. So that was an important factor to consider. And I would say it was one of the main drivers to my decision. And I also, I thought that at least if I wanted to apply to London jobs, which is like I already have an Italian passport, so I think I can apply to jobs in Europe. But if I wanted to apply to jobs in London or in the UK, I thought that LBS was a more strategic place to be, since I would already be here. I would be eligible for the work visa, which is something that maybe in HEC I wouldn't have been able to have.
Yes, of course, you don't have the automatic work visa. It would have been different. But you see, being Italian is quite easy as an Italian to get a work visa. Huh? So basically, but yes, that's something we discussed. So of course, you got a bigger scholarship at LBS, but you must have noticed that life is a bit expensive in London. No, have you seen? So
yes,
how do you feel with that?
No, that's
that. It's not Peru probably. And I told you on the HEC campus, you spend maximum 700 per month. Huh? So that's the. But you want it to be in London, and of course, yes. I understand that. Maybe there are people who are here today. I want them to ask you questions because some are my students are now applying. I mean, you want to apply to LBS. What questions have you got for Daniela?
Sure, Daniela. Hi. First of all, congrats. And and yeah, do you have like maybe some advice regarding like scholarship essays? Maybe a few pieces of advice.
Scholarship essays?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe do you want to ask more a broader question? Maybe I mean it's
a broader question. Okay.
Yeah.
A broader question. Yeah, did you does London Business School also use like Kira platform for interview?
No, regarding the interview process in London Business School, the interview is done directly by an alumni or by a member of the admissions team. In my case, I was interviewed by an LBS alumni of my program. So it's a face-to-face virtual interview, right? So you connect through Skype or Meet or whichever platform you prefer, and the interview is live.
Ah, I see. So yeah, London Business School, like unlike others, to join the interview, and it's with an alumnus. Oh?
So you probably come up, huh? But for attending, they don't have Kira Talent. So College has Kira Talent, INSEAD has Kira Talent, but you will probably come up. So I don't know. There is Manish Tiwara. Manish, you have a question for Daniela with completing your MFA at LBS? Manish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what question have you got? Manish? Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah. Go ahead. Hello?
Daniela, could you please? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Daniela, could you please explain what was your experience at the interview?
Okay.
The motivation interview. Yeah.
Okay, the interview. So it was a very, I would say, pleasant experience. Obviously, I had prepared before with Dr. Hubert, and well, as I mentioned, the interview was conducted by a former student of LBS. So he already had the experience and everything. And the interview was, I would say, mostly behavioral and personal questions. It was very focused on, for example, why I am deciding to apply to LBS, why that program, why London, why not somewhere else, what were my goals after the program, what were my career goals, and also several questions regarding behavior or past experiences, for example, in teamwork, leadership, diverse groups, because that's something that's very important for LBS, right? So you are able to work with different groups, because here they assign you to some study groups, to some groups, so you have to be able to interact. So they asked a lot about what had been my experience dealing with groups, with maybe a difficult group or things like that. There was also obviously a part where the interviewer asked me if I had any questions for him, and given that he was an LBS alumna, I decided to ask him about his own experience, his own advice for LBS. I think that was also very, I would say, enriching of that interview. Overall, the interviewers have a very, I think, positive disposition, because they are former students. So if they are devoting their time to do the interview process, is because they had a positive experience at LBS. But overall, the questions were mainly personal questions, like about your objectives, about your previous experiences, and about what could you contribute to LBS, or to assess how your interactions with your LBS classmates were going to be.
That's,
Thank you.
so it's quite traditional. The question that you had, Daniela, are quite traditional, except that maybe, yes, you can distinguish from HEC. So no technical questions whatsoever. No technical questions.
Yes.
And can you explain how different it was, for instance, from HEC?
Yes, the approach at HEC was much different. In HEC, for example, I was interviewed by 3 interviewers. One of them was the director of the Masters in International Finance program, and 2 former students. So the questions at first, they obviously asked for essays regarding your goals and why you're applying. So they just asked me, so why HEC? They said that they already read about my goals in my essays, and that they wanted to see what I already knew. So they started asking about my work experience, and from my work experience, they derived several technical questions. So, for example, I particularly worked at the Central Bank of Peru. So they asked me what were my perspectives on for example, from the world central banks regarding the situation. What could I expect as responses from them? What I knew have them done before to deal with the pandemic recession. Those were, for example, regarding news. So there were questions regarding these kinds of news. Then from these questions, they started building on other technical questions. For example, they asked, what would I invest in that volatile environment? I talked about derivatives, which I had seen before at work and in class, and they asked me more about derivatives, like technical questions. So there, I wouldn't say that you are going to have a very similar experience, but the questions they make are going to be very built on your own experience, but be sure that they are going to be technical. There were lots of technical questions there. I think the interview had a very technical approach. They also asked, for example, how would I value a company, or what approach could I use to value a certain type of company, or things like that. That's obviously because I had already a background in some finance, and I had previously worked in finance at a company at the central bank. So if your experience is completely different, maybe they're going to build on that, or maybe the questions are going to be more basic, but they are very technical. That I would say is a very noticeable difference between the HEC and the LBS interviews.
Yeah, that's very different. So basically, they have a different approach. And when I spoke to LBS, they told me that it's more the person that they are considering than the knowledge. And anyway, in your case, they knew that you had it. There is Marco Sebastian Caso. I don't know you, Marcos. So Marcos, you have a question? I imagine that you're Spanish speaking. So you have a question for us, Marcos? Hello?
Hello,
Marcos?
Dr. Ruber.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah,
Daniela.
hello.
I am from Peru too.
Okay.
I am living in Panama for work.
Yeah.
And I want to apply to a British university the next year, probably. So this is a general question, maybe. I know that most of Peruvians or Latin Americans goes to USA or to Spain to study. And I don't know if you have, or do you have the idea of what the British people have of the Latin American people?
So what is the perception that yes, the Brits
Maybe
from the Latin American. Yeah.
I can guess, or maybe this is my opinion. Maybe the British university want more Latin American people in their institute. So maybe they want more people from our countries. Maybe.
Yeah, I would say so. If there's something that I've noticed at LBS is that there are very few Latin American people. In my class, we are only, I think, 4 or 5, whereas the class is a 200 people program, right? So we are 5 Latin Americans, which is a very, I would say, low number. And I would indeed say that I think British universities are looking for more diversity in their cohorts, so they are indeed very interested in having people from Latin America apply to their institutions.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Daniela.
Anyway, what you have to see, and Daniela will tell you the same thing. When you're at LBS, and after that, I don't know if you work for Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, most of the people she's with are not British. Okay, she will be with French, with German, with I don't know, with Indians, with Chinese. I'm not wrong when I say that. And it's mainly what is the perception of Latin American by a French, by a German, by an Indian, and the perception is positive. You see, it's not like, I don't know, it's not like when you're going to work as a butcher in Manchester and say, well, I might perceive. You're going to be in a very international environment. How many British have you got in your class, Daniela?
I think 2. It's
2.
even lower than Latin Americans, because just like you mentioned,
You have more Latin Americans than British.
Exactly.
So,
just like you mentioned,
British are very because the British they don't go to LBS for whatever, for many reasons. So basically, the perception, and when she has an interview at I don't know, Goldman Sachs, one of the interviewers will be French, the other one will be American. You're not going to work with many Brits. Okay, you be with Brits when you go to buy your food, maybe, or in the whatever. But London is very international, and the finance sector is not run by the Brits. Okay, my son, he told me that he's working for JP Morgan. In his department, there's not a single British, not a single one. Okay, it's run by yes, as Daniela said, there are many more Latin Americans than Brits at LBS overall. Okay. Alors, the question that I have now is so what was, so you have, yes, basically there may be one question, but I think that you have already answered, because you told us that you have Italian citizenship. Why not the US? It's true that being in Peru, naturally Peruvian go to the US because they have a lot of contacts. There's a big Latino community there, so they find it easier, and probably the perspective, the financial and cultural perspectives are better. So why Europe and not the US, Daniela?
Well, first the fact that I have the Italian nationality did play a role in that. I think it would be much easier to get a visa both in the UK and, well, in Europe I will not need a visa, so that was also a factor. And overall, I, during my undergraduate, spent a semester here in Europe, in the Netherlands, and traveling through Europe, and that made me, well, get to know a bit of the European culture overall. And I saw that I much more like the European lifestyle and the European quality of life when compared to the USA. I think that's my personal opinion, that Europe, for me, has a better quality of life than the USA, which is something that I think I put more value in that than maybe in the other factors that you mentioned regarding the positives of the USA, which I am obviously not saying they are not there and they should not be considered, but for me, I would say the pros of Europe overweighted the ones in the USA.
But UK is in Europe? Hello?
No, it's not. But
no, I'm teasing you, but even I know that not part of the European community, but geographically they are. But it's in between. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you're from Austria, it's a very different culture. Or if you're Italian, it's a very different culture. But I would say that plus you're lucky, because I say that UK it's an in between between Europe and US probably, even though of course geographically it is in Europe. and they are part of still of many European organizations, by the way. So tell me, Daniela, alors, yes, it's a sad time for you, no? To be in London nowadays, no? With the death of Queen Elizabeth II. So
Yeah.
what is the atmosphere like now in London? Have you been to Buckingham Palace, or how do you live that?
Yes, yes, it was a very first shocking news because it happened in a matter of hours. Yesterday, I went to Buckingham Palace, and the atmosphere was very dense. There was a lot of sadness in the air because there were lots of people around Buckingham Palace, and everyone was, I think, very, very sad. As I mentioned, the atmosphere was very dense, very, very sad. I would say the weather has also been very, I would say, dark. Dark, like previous weeks it was very sunny, now it's very, very dark, very cloudy. I think this all contributes to the overall I think sadness and mourning period that we have here in London right now. Obviously classes are continuing as planned and everything, but still it's a huge shock to everyone, I think.
Yeah, of course, it must be something, and you have to see that the Queen belongs to European history. So every European was sad. So she's part of the European history at least. So tell me. So the question that I have now is that you have been accepted to many schools. You've been and not only accepted to all the schools you have applied to, but you also have received scholarships. So what was it like? What was it like to apply? And can you please tell us your secrets?
Okay, so I would say that the application process is well time consuming. Obviously, with the help of Dr. Hubert, I was able to navigate it with much more ease. I would say, like, he was an excellent guide in all the application process. Still, I would say that some advice that I can give is well, be committed. Obviously, it involves the GMAT, it involves essays, interviews, other schools maybe ask for even more documents. So one has to be committed and consistent and disciplined to be able to study for the GMAT if you haven't taken it yet, to write your essays on time, to be able to meet all of the deadlines. So I think that's something very important. And overall, I would say that, right, be motivated, like always keep your motivation on, always remember why you are doing what you're doing. For example, for me, attending these types of webinars was very helpful because I could see other students who were already studying, who had already been accepted to the universities they wanted, and I could see and say that will be me in a year. So that kept me motivated, that helped me stay motivated and stay like disciplined with what I had to do, stay like keep it up with my deadlines and everything. So I think that is the main advice I can give you, like find a way to keep yourself motivated for and remembering why you're doing what you're doing, because it's a long process and sometimes you might get frustrated, sometimes you might feel like you don't want to study for the GMAT anymore, but you have to see your goal at the end.
Yeah, so it's very important. Now, basically, I would say that Daniela is not like every other student. She's very gifted. She's not like any other. But at the same time, students that I have who get accepted to LBS, ESSEC, and HEC are gifted. They stand out. I know. So yes, basically, she was a very good student, and what I like about Daniela, if you ask her to do something, she does it. So that's the mark of a good student. Okay. Now, basically, I remember, Daniela, that the issue that we had when we studied was your GMAT. Remember, because you end up with a 740, but the first GMAT was, what was your first GMAT?
It was 700.
700, and then I told you, of course, it was very good, but I said, look, if you get me 20, 30 points more, it will help you a lot. And it's probably why we have been accepted, and also with scholarship. So basically, you had a very, very good application. Maybe with the 700, you'll have received the one scholarship, maybe not HEC, I don't know, but given the quality of your profile, your score, your nationality, that help a lot. So it was a good idea to retake the GMAT. You don't think so? And I think getting 740, you see, there are scores that put you in a different league. So when you're above 720, you play in a different league. Okay. Now we have Jesus. We didn't have 700. I think he had 640. Jesus 690.
Yeah,
696, something.
around
Yeah,
around
but
there.
still got in. Huh? So,
Yeah.
but basically, it's very important that you see, and I want it to be as an example. 700, not enough. I prepare still, and you got the thing. Now, tell me, in terms of, basically, why do you think that you have been so successful and that you have received application? Okay, because you have completed a Grand Slam somehow. Why and how do you explain that?
How would I
How do you
explain that
explain
I
your
was
success? Yeah, is it
okay?
because of your background, because of your grades, because of your charisma? What is it?
I think it was a combination
Hmm.
of all of the factors, like you mentioned. I did manage to have a very good GMAT score, so I think that helps a lot. That helps to highlight the application. Also, I think I consistently had good grades during my undergraduate, so I had a good history with academics. I think I am very active in organizations. I think that also helped. That also maybe played a role there, because universities many times look for people who are going to be involved in their communities, who are going to contribute, who are going to participate in their events, their associations, and so on. And I had a consistent track record of being involved in such events, in such organizations. So I think that is also something that universities like, and that universities put an emphasis on, right? Because they always have these clubs, these events, these associations, these student ambassador roles, which I from the start displayed interest in. So I think that is also something that maybe was attractive to universities, the fact that I was very active in other aspects that were not academic and professional, which I already had covered. And I think overall that, and obviously also the fact that I made I had the essays, I had the essays with the help of Dr. Hoover, who gave me the guideline to know what to highlight of my experiences. So I think it was an overall combination of positive factors. I think I had the luck, and that I worked hard to be able to cover all of the bases that make a good application.
Yes, it's very true, because I would say that basically she was almost perfect, in that she's a very good student with good grades, good score. You were also a teaching assistant, no, at university. You have worked as a teaching assistant, no, Daniela?
Yes.
Have you worked so basically, of course, very good, so excellent candidate, and then of course a lot of leadership activities. I remember that you had so much that you had to take out, so she was involved in many things. So of course that's the type of thing that they love. Of course, experience at the Bank of Peru plus other experience, but of course that's something very convincing. She was international. Maybe what was missing a bit was maybe a big name in the field. Maybe some more experience abroad would have been even better. But at the same time, that's life. That's the way you live. There was no other option. But living in Peru, it was already good, and it's true that it's very difficult to find students from Peru who have already studied in Europe. So it was possible through the exchange program that you had. So that's the reason. Yes, I would say an intelligent girl was values, and they love that. That's why they took you. Does anybody ask question? Ask few more questions? I mean, you have few more questions to ask Daniela?
Oh, sure. And have you checked, like, Daniela, like campus life, like student association?
Yeah.
Have you checked?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. These weeks, for example, I've been participating in many of the clubs welcome events, because LBS has lots of clubs. Like, I think clubs for everyone. It has career clubs focused on things like private equity, venture capital, retail goods, technology, and everything. It also has, for example, international clubs, such as for example, was very interested in the Latin America club, but there is also a Central Eastern European club, an Arab club, and Spanish club, and so on. and there are also lots of clubs regarding different interests, right? So football club, basket club, theater club, debate club, foodie club, dance club, salsa club. So there, I think there's something for everyone, and I've been attending several of the events of the clubs I was most interested in, and I found them to be very attractive. They make lots of events, workshops, and so on. And I've also applied to be a student ambassador for LBS. So I think that those are the things that I would highlight. And obviously the campus life itself, getting to know my classmates, going out with them, getting to meet them, that was also very nice. So I think campus life has a lot to offer, both in LBS as much as it would in any other university, I think.
Yeah. Yes,
Thanks
exactly.
for the
And
comprehensive.
because you mentioned some clubs, but which clubs are you going to join, Daniela? Yourself.
I'm going to join, I think, the Latin Club, the Women in Business Club, the Investment Management Club, and now the Dance Club, because I want to take some dance classes, for example. And those are the ones who I've been most interested in. I'm still waiting to check out some more. So, but for now, those for sure.
It's a good program, huh? You're going to be busy. By the way, can you explain something to our students so that they see a typical day? Because students have the thing that you start at 8 o'clock, you finish class at 8 o'clock, and then you go back home. Can you explain to us? No, it doesn't work like this at LBS. What is a typical day?
Okay, so first, classes are, I think, they are very different in terms of schedule. So for example, one day I might have a class at 9 a.m. and the next day maybe my first class will be at 2 p.m. and the next day maybe my class would be at 3 p.m. and so on. So basically, I think it gives you time to have different parts of the day free in different days. So that's something good. And also, obviously, you go to the university and there you meet your friends, you meet your classmates. Maybe after the class, you go out to eat, you stay at LBS to maybe study together, do applications together, or something like that. And also something that I would highlight is that they try to give us the Fridays, for example, free. Yesterday was Friday. I did not have any class. I've been checking my calendar, and there are very few Fridays in which I have class, because I think they want you to obviously to participate in other activities such as clubs.
Work-study balance, no? A good work-study balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They want
I will tell you the real reason why you don't have class on Friday, but go ahead, Daniela. Yeah. I will tell you the real reasons. You know the real reason why you don't have class on Friday. Because
why?
all the executive education courses are on Friday.
Oh.
So the teachers are busy with executive education, executive MBA, global executive MBA, executive masters, etc. So basically, Daniela, she's right. Basically, I would say 4 things about LBS. First, you have classes from Mondays to Thursdays. Okay, because on Friday, Saturday, you have executive education courses. So, and you have a lot of executive education course. That's why they make their money, basically. Probably with your program, they probably lose money and they make money. You got the scholarship because of the money they make with executive education. Second of all, yes, you have, it's like in the US, you have maximum 3 hours of class per day. Okay, professors are expensive. You have to see they don't have that many professors, and they're expensive. And of course, so it leaves you a lot of time for. So basically, they want to give time so that you can study, work in a group, and also job search. Okay, so I would say that when you go to LBS, many of my students, that's what they told me. They told me I didn't learn much. Okay, what I learned already. So basically, you will say after having finished LBS, you see, Daniela will say, I didn't learn that much. If you already prepared the CFA, you have a bachelor, you have worked for the Bank of Peru, you have to say 80% that I've seen, I already knew. Okay, it was a different angle. But what is very important with LBS, they give you a lot of time for yourself, for personal development, and to find a job. Okay, I give you an example. For instance, in SEAD, you can have for the Masters in Management, sometimes you have classes on Sunday. Okay, so sometimes you have 7 days of class. Okay, so because they and classes, you can have classes from 8 in the morning to 9 in the evening. Okay, so they want you to work and study a lot. I think at LBS it's completely different. They want to find a balance between studies, personal development, and job search. And they know that if they give you too much to do, maybe you cannot find a job. And they know that at the end, well, and then plus they know that the brand is strong enough that you can find a job or you can apply. Okay, so that's the reason. Many students told me that basically they have the thing that when they went at LBS, especially for the MIM, that they have mainly work on soft skills, networking, and job search. But they told me that it was excellent. Okay, and it was the right approach because basically that's what it is about at the end, is to get a good job. Okay. Well. Alors, basically, Daniela, the 3 pieces of advice that you want to give us, what are they? Tell me.
I think maybe stay motivated, work hard, and also, well, set yourself goals. I think that's important. Like, set yourself goals that you want to achieve and work hard for them.
Yeah, so like Daniela, be ambitious and humble. Okay, okay, she's a very humble person. So Daniela, it was very nice to see you again. I hope that I would have other opportunities maybe next year, so that you tell us what it was like to study at LBS. So 1 year, and probably you give us a fantastic news with you being accepted at JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs. I don't know what is your dream, or KKR, your dream company, but and I'm sure that you will work, because they would be stupid not to take you. Okay? Well,
Okay.
have a good day. Bye bye, Daniela. Thank you.
Bye.